Hope everyone's doing well today. My name is Courtney Craig, and I'm the Director of Product Marketing here at AppBuddy. Thank you for taking the time to join this webinar today. We're really excited to show you GridBuddy Editable Forecast View. If you aren't familiar with us, we're a CRM application that allows you to easily engage with your data in a spreadsheet-like view. Before we get started, we have just a few housekeeping items to mention. We will be recording today's webinar, and it will be available on our YouTube channel and as well as emailed to you. We will be taking questions for today's webinar, but we're going to keep them until the end. So hold those questions. You'll be turning them in through the Zoom webinar Q&A applet and chatting them through there, and then we'll get to them at the very end. If you do experience technical difficulties, just sign off and attempt to sign back on again. That usually fixes things. Or if you're having audio issues, just use the phone option on Zoom. There is a dial-in number provided as well. We will have all attendees on mute during this product demonstration. Keep that in mind, you're all muted. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. So presenting today's webinar is Anthony McGollett. He's the Director of Engineering here at AppBuddy. Anthony previously worked at Google and Salesforce, and he led the development of the GridBuddy Editable Forecast View feature. It's been a real labor of love for him, so you're in good hands with him today. And again, my name is Courtney Craig, and I'm the Director of Product Marketing here at AppBuddy. I'll be moderating the webinar today. All right, so this is what we're going to cover today. We're going to give a brief introduction to GridBuddy in case you don't know about us, and then we're going to kind of tell you how Editable Forecast View was born and give you an overview on this new feature. Then we'll dive right into the demo, which Anthony will be conducting, and show you firsthand how it works and all the ins and outs so you guys can get all the juicy details. And then we'll touch lightly on some use cases around this feature and provide a summary, and then we'll dive right into the Q&A. If you aren't familiar with us, we are GridBuddy. We simplify complex CRM processes with grids. Our intelligent grids give end users a spreadsheet-like view of their data, like you see here on this screen, so that they can be more productive in Salesforce. Our grids can be quickly configured for any user, team, or process. By giving users that custom experience without custom code, GridBuddy helps organizations improve data quality, increase user adoption, and increase productivity. Okay, so let's talk about Editable Forecast View. Where does this fit into GridBuddy? What is it all about? We know that GridBuddy brings your CRM data into a single actionable view for any process, but there's some use cases that we've run into with our customers that required seeing this data a little bit differently. Our customers needed to see their pipeline forecasted over the entire year with sums across months and sales reps. Others needed to create complex product forecasts with schedules spanning 10 years. Some needed to see multiple levels of data and the ability to edit all those details in the same view. Our customers were using spreadsheets to solve for these processes. They were creating a pivoted view of their data to get the workspace they needed, but they were struggling to keep this data up to date in Salesforce. And this is something we couldn't quite solve for with our standard hierarchical view, so Editable Forecast View was born. Editable Forecast View gives users that matrix-style workspace so that they can feel like they're working with a pivot table, but it lives right inside Salesforce where the data actually lives. Editable Forecast View lets users group records by any time-based or pick list value in Salesforce with the aggregate sums at the top. Users can also edit records directly in line across all cells or do the updates with one save, just like GridBuddy's hierarchical view. And we have gotten the question, is this view available on other grids, for objects outside of the opportunities or products? And the answer is yes, it is. It can be configured just like our other grids are in an easy 3-step process in our Grid Wizard. So without further ado, I'm going to pass this off to our presenter, Anthony, to dive right into the feature and give you a demo. Anthony, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Courtney. Can you hear me okay?
We hear you loud and clear.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen. Let me know that you can see it.
Yep, looks good.
All right. Okay, guys. So thank you, Courtney, for that introduction. I'm going to give you guys a quick overview of GridBuddy, and this is going to be more for those that are newer to GridBuddy. And then we'll look at the Editable Forecast View, which is sort of the core of what this webinar is all about. So here I'm in my Salesforce org, and you can see that I have this Sales Rep Workspace tab selected. So this workspace would be, used by sales reps in your org to manage the data that they're responsible for. Here we can see that there are several tabs, and each of these tabs holds grids configured on different objects in your org. So leads, accounts, contacts, quotes. This first one that we're looking at here, this is a standard GridBuddy pipeline view. And this is a grid of opportunities, and we can see various fields for the opportunities. So we can see the name, account name, close date, stage, Einstein score, amount, and we can see that this opportunity data is sorted by the amount field, descending. Now we can also see that we've configured some conditional formatting rules for this grid. So conditional formatting on a close date, Einstein score, forecast category, and so on. So this is all easily configured in our grid wizard. Now, key fields here are editable. So, if I needed to change my close dates, I can just come in here and do this like that. If I wanted to change my stages, maybe I need to close a few of my opportunities just like this. So very easy inline editing capabilities. Also, there's a lot of functionality on this grid, so I'm not going to go through all of it, but if I were to click on this cog icon, I can see some of that functionality. So we can freeze up to this column if we wanted to. We can filter, we can mass update, and we could sort with these different controls. Now, say I wanted to do a mass update. I can go ahead and select a few of my opportunities here. I can select the forecast category that I wanted to apply to these opportunities. And if I click selected, we can see that those 4 opportunities that I had selected got their status, their category changed to commit. So that's a little quick intro on how mass update works. Now, one of the powers of GridBuddy grids, and what really sets us apart from standard Salesforce functionality like list views, is our multi-object capability. So this grid is the parent object of this grid is opportunities, but we've also configured some child objects, and we can access them in a couple ways. So if I were to click this more link in my opportunity product column, I can see a little table of the opportunity products related to this particular opportunity. And I can go ahead and make some changes to various fields, maybe to the dates or to the amounts. And when I click save, this would commit all of these changes that I've made to the opportunities on this grid and these opportunity products. Going a little further, if I had configured more child objects for this grid, I could click this arrow icon at the far left of the row, and this would show the other children that I have configured. So we can see that I've configured some contacts. And if I were to expand that table, I can see them here, and I can make changes. Maybe someone changed their phone number, or maybe someone, changed their title, something like that. So I can edit all of these different objects in one view, and clicking save would commit all of these changes at once. So that's kind of a quick overview of a standard GridBuddy grid. Again, this is all easily configured in our grid wizard. So next up, we're going to look at this tab here, Opti Forecast. And this tab is really showing GridBuddy's editable forecast view. At first glance, this probably looks like a Salesforce matrix report or an Excel pivot table. We can see, again, this grid is configured on the opportunity object. It has a row grouping on the opportunity stage, so that's where we're seeing prospecting, qualification, needs analysis. And it's grouped at the column level by the close date, and so that's why we see September 2018, October 2018, November 2018, and so on. these column headers that we see, September, October, November, these are defined by the data on the grid. So this grid is, we can see has, we're showing 50 opportunities with a total of 61. So the 50 that are shown all have close dates within these months. If, for example, we had one that was in April 2019, we would see another column for that. Now moving on, so we can see that we've configured a sum on the amount field, the opportunity amount field. So that's why we're seeing, in September 2018, looks like we have $250,000 of opportunities, opportunity amounts. And for October, we're looking about 4 million. For November, 4,500,000, and so on. So this top row, this is the grand total row for each month category. To the right here, we're seeing grand totals for each stage category. So for opportunities that have a stage of prospecting, we're seeing we got about $1 million of sum of amount. And for, and so on. So for perception analysis, we're seeing about 250,000. Now, so again, we're looking at this, just the summaries on this forecast view grid. If we wanted to see the data that makes up these summaries, we could do that in a couple ways. So I could go and click on a header here, and we could see that expanded the group of data. Now, based on this column header, we can see there's just one opportunity in September 2018. And so that's what we're seeing here. This is that single opportunity. And it's in the perception analysis group, so that's why we see its stage is perception analysis. So a little bit about the anatomy of a forecast view grid. This is what we refer to as a data tile. This is a record in your database, so an opportunity record in your database. And the fields that we see to the left here, name, stage, close date, and amount, we refer to these as the stacked fields. So these are of course configurable in the grid wizard. So if you wanted to show more or less fields here, you could do that. And just like on our standard GridBuddy grids, all of these fields are editable. So if I wanted to update my close dates, I could do that here. If I knew I had a change in amount, I could do that here as well. And just like in our previous example, with one save, this would all get committed. So now if I wanted to see additional record details, I could go through and I could click on other headers. So see, I clicked on the qualification header and it showed me all the opportunities with the qualification stage. I could also come in and I could hover over the groupings menu and check this show record details option, and that would expand all of the record details for all groups. So if I scroll this grid, we can see prospecting, qualification, needs analysis, and value proposition, and so on. So that's similar to on a Salesforce matrix report, where you can use the show or hide details functionality. Now, what's powerful here is that the summary data and the actual data that makes up the summaries is in one table, and it's editable. So if you're doing your forecasts today in a Salesforce matrix report, to make your edits, you have to navigate to those records one by one. And if you're doing in Excel, there are several issues with that. So for example, if you're exporting to Excel and you're creating pivot tables so you could see your data, that the pivot table and the actual data that makes up the pivot table are separate. They're two separate tables. Maybe they're on separate sheets. And there are other problems with Excel. For example, it's not secure because you're pulling your data out of Salesforce. And then it's error prone because maybe you have validation rules or workflow rules or processes or trigger logic that you've built in Salesforce, And it's likely that your Excel spreadsheets aren't respecting those rules. So having this type of view directly in Salesforce and having all of these fields editable is really, really powerful. And so that's why we built it for you guys. So that's sort of our first example here that I wanted to show. Moving on, so again, this was an opportunities editable forecast view. If I click this next tab, it'll take me to a revenue forecast, and this is a grid configured on the line item schedule object. So for those of you that use opportunity line item schedules in Salesforce, this would be the type of grid that would be interesting to you. Today, if you wanted to edit multiple schedules across products, what you would have to do is you'd have to go into each opportunity product, then load the view for those line item schedules, make your changes, save, and then navigate to the next opportunity product. And so if you wanted to see, all of your schedules sort of across a timeline, you'd have to create a Salesforce matrix report, or you'd have to export to Excel. But with GridBuddy, you can have it all in one view, like we see here. So similar to what we were seeing previously, the row grouping here is our product name, and our column grouping is our schedule date. So we can see, maybe you guys have, hundreds of products here. We just have a few for our example. So maybe we have an SLA that we sell to our customers, and it's a gold level SLA. So I clicked on the header. I can see the groups, and maybe you have a use case where you need to adjust the quantities. So maybe you had your customer, they wanted to move up a few units of your product from one month to the other. So we can see that I made that change very easily. And when I'm ready to save, I can click save, and then all of those changes would get committed to your Salesforce database. So that's a little bit about the use cases for individual sales reps. We also have some use cases for sales managers. So typically a sales leader, they need to have like a high level view of their team's pipeline, and they want to see aggregates across maybe different dimensions like stage or forecast category. And then maybe you guys have the use case where you need to actually set a manager's forecast. So this grid that we're looking at here, it's also an opportunities grid, also configured for editable forecast view. And at the row level, we can see it's grouped by opportunity owner. So we have Caroline and Courtney here. And at the column level, we see it's grouped by forecast category. So this is a little different than the last two editable forecast view grids we've seen, because the column grouping is actually a pick list. Now, if I wanted to see the details that make up these summaries, I can click on the header here, and we can see. So Caroline has 38 deals that are in the pipeline forecast category, and she has 11 in the best case. And maybe as a manager, what I want to do is sort of set up my own forecast for these values, and I can do that easily right here. And just like in our other examples, when I'm ready, I can click save, and that would save my changes in one operation. Okay, so that's a little bit about a manager's use case for editable forecast view. Now, moving on to for those of you that are in the manufacturing space, so we set up an example here. This one is also configured on the line item schedule object, also an editable forecast view grid. At the row level, we're grouped by line item description, which holds the opportunity opportunity, the product's name, sorry. And at the column, we're grouped by schedule date. And again, this is similar to the other line item schedule grid that we saw. We can see our summaries. So we have a sum of revenue configured and a sum of quantity. And if I wanted to see the records that make up each group, I can click on the header here, and that would expand them. Or I can come to the groupings menu and click Show Record Details, and then that would expand all of the records. Okay, and let's see. So one other example we have set up here is for what we call product white space, and this, we have this set up in the high-tech workspace, and this in this scenario it would be something like, you want to know for your accounts, the accounts that you sell to, what have you sold, or what are they currently using of your product, and in knowing that, we find out, oh, what could we sell them, right? So in this example, we're seeing it's configured on a custom object called install base. At the row level, we're grouped by account. So we see a few accounts: Apple, Cisco, Google. And at the column level, we're grouped by a product family. So we can see for Apple, we have, we know they're using our Netphone 5 and our Netphone 6, but they're not using our Netphone 7. So maybe there's an opportunity there. So maybe our account executive for Apple should reach out to them and see if maybe they'd be interested in that. And similarly for Cisco, they're using, the 5 and the 7, but they're not using the 6, and so on. So that's a little product white space example that you guys might find interesting. Now, one thing that I didn't show earlier that I wanted to give you guys a little look at. So again, this is, we refer to these as data tiles. So these each represent a record in your database. If you wanted to see more information about a particular record, you can click these three dots to show the record level action menu. And if I clicked View Record Detail, it would open, the record in Salesforce. Similarly, if I clicked Open Record Detail, it would open the record in Salesforce. But we could also click this Open Detail panel option. And what happens there is we'll have a little slide out that shows additional fields that you've configured for this grid, but that you might not necessarily want to see all the time in your forecast view. And so we can see that various other fields have been configured in the detail panel here. So install base name, the date, and the product family. Going back to our sales rep grid here, a good use case for detail panel is to put your long text areas. So, it kind of would, to put a long text area into this cell would maybe be a little bit too big. So a good place for them would be in your detail panel. And just like, other fields on the grid, all of this is editable. And when I save, the changes that I've made in the detail panel and also in the data tile would be committed to your Salesforce database. Okay, so that's a little bit about detail panel. Now, I want to talk briefly about the wizard experience for setting up Editable Forecast View. So here I launched the Grid Wizard tab in my org. If I wanted to create a forecast view grid, I would click Create New. Now, you can set up a forecast view grid for any object that appears in this parent object dropdown. This dropdown will hold any custom objects in your org and most standard objects. I say most because Salesforce has some restrictions on certain standard objects. They have various quirks Maybe they're not accessible via Apex. So it's most standard objects that you will see in here. So just for the purpose of example, I'm going to quickly create an opportunity grid. Okay. And so that's all I'm going to set on this first page of the Grid Wizard. If I click Next, it'll take me to page 2 of the Grid Wizard. And this is where I select the fields that I want to display on my grid. So say I wanted to see like the amount, I wanted to see the account name, maybe I wanted to see the close date and the stage. So that's just a few. And actually, maybe we want to see description, but we're going to put the description in the detail panel for our grid. So I can reorder these fields just by dragging and dropping. I want to configure a summary on this amount field so we see that the summary in our forecast view. So I'm going to go ahead and click Sum. And then in order to make my description show in the detail panel, I'm going to enable data card, which is by clicking this icon right here, and then drag it into the data card. For those of you more familiar with GridBuddy, data card is something that's configurable for the hierarchical view or the standard GridBuddy view, and we repurpose that for detail panel. Okay, so that's all the fields that I wanted to set up a chart. I could do that also on page 2 of the Grid Wizard. If I wanted to set up my conditional formatting rules, I would do that here. And if I had some custom actions that I had configured for my objects, so opportunity in this case, I could add those to the grid just by checking these boxes. Okay, but anyway, let's move forward. So on page 3 of the Grid Wizard is where we will configure forecast view. So first I need to select a grouped field. So at the row level, I'm going to say select account name, and we'll just order by account name. And at the column level, I'm going to select close date. Now in the previous examples we've seen so far, when a date field was selected for the column grouping, they were grouped in addition by month. But as you can see, you can choose a different format. This is another grouping level. So you can choose day, month, calendar quarter, or fiscal quarter. So we'll just do month because that's sort of simple. And then I'll save. And then I'm going to click Launch Grid, and then we'll see what we got here. Okay. So this is the forecast view grid that we just configured. We can see the row grouping is account name, like we just set up. Our column grouping is close date. If we expand a section, we can see the stacked fields that we had selected. So name, account name, amount, close date. We can see our sum of amounts, which we configured on page 2. And if we wanted to see the opportunity description that we put in the detail panel, we can do it like that. And I think that's all. Courtney,
Yeah.
Back to you.
Yeah, great demo, Anthony. Thank you.
Sure.
So let me switch back to my slides. 1 second. Okay. So Anthony showed you how Editable Forecast View applies to pipeline management, product scheduling, and he also showed you our white space analysis grid. But keep in mind, this view can be applied to any object in Salesforce. So we've had some of you ask already in the Q&A applet. We do have customers looking at using this for other use cases like time tracking, project management, case management, and more. So really the goal of this feature is to help organizations keep forecasting or really any data management process in Salesforce. So ultimately you're getting better insights from your data and you're increasing team productivity and really maintaining that source of truth. So ultimately you can increase your CRM adoption, improve your data quality, and accelerate your productivity. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and dive into, actually, before we dive into the Q&A, if you do want to test out Editable Forecast View, you can download a free trial on the App Exchange. You can also just contact us and we're happy to give you a personalized consultation and walk you through it. Just email us at info@appbuddy.com. And so now we're going to dive into the Q&A portion of the webinar. Let me go ahead and access your questions. 1 second. Okay. So it looks like we have Nick Palmer asking, when making changes, do you recommend saving every so often or saving once at the end? Anthony, do you want to address that one?
I guess sure, Courtney. I guess it sort of depends on what works for you. Something to keep in mind is that, if depending on the session duration that your Salesforce admin has configured, if you guys have a long session duration, so maybe like 24 hours, then you can leave your edits there and save, towards the end of your day. But if you have a shorter session duration, maybe you get logged out after just 1 hour, then it's probably a better idea to save more frequently.
Okay. And then also we have Carmen asking, is this available, or actually she's asking, is Detail Panel only available in Forecast View?
Good question. Yes. So yes and no. So in Forecast View, we have Detail Panel, but in our standard hierarchical view, we have a similar concept that's called Data Card. And I could show that really quickly if you guys want. It's super quick.
Yeah,
anyway,
let's do it.
Okay, sure. I'll just show it real quick. Okay, are you seeing my screen?
Yep.
Cool. Okay, so Detail Panel and Data Card are configured the same. So here we're looking at a non-forecast view grid, and we can see these little data card icons to the far left of our row. If I click this, it expands additional fields, just like in Detail Panel, that you might not necessarily access all the time. So like, for example, various long text areas like description, reason why lost, forecast comments. So yes, we have a similar concept in the standard grids, but it's a little bit different.
Okay. So we also have someone asking, what if they don't have access to the grid wizard? How do they customize their filters?
So we also provide end user filtering capabilities via this filter button and also via the column actions widget. So here again, we're looking at a standard grid without forecast view enabled. If I clicked on this filter button, I could select create new, and I can, similar to, it's pretty much the same page that you see on Grid Wizard 3. So I can, add other filters here. Maybe I wanted to add a filter for this various stages. So I could do like that. And when I save this, this would be a filter that is only visible to my user. So we call these user-defined filters. So other users wouldn't see these. So let me just do that so you guys can see how it will look. Okay, so we see at the right side here, this is the filter I had just saved, and we can see the data set changed. So now I'm only showing 14 opportunities. When I open this filter, my filter dropdown, we can see a few things. So these two filters, my filter and my GridBuddy pipeline, these are filters that are only visible to my user. These ones with the admin prefix, these are filters that my admin had created that all users that access this grid would have access to. And then, like I was saying previously, you could also come into this, click this cog icon and do your filters right from here. So say I wanted to filter on forecast category, or I wanted to filter on stage, I can actually see the filters that are already configured for that, and I can make changes there and save.
Hey, Anthony, while you're here, we do have someone asking if you can use mass update in Editable Forecast View.
Good question. So today we don't yet have the mass update functionality for Editable Forecast View, but let us know your use case, because we want to make it, so that it's gonna, work for you guys. So, let your account executive know, or let Courtney know what you guys are looking to do, so we can really make it work for you.
Okay, and then we have someone also asking about what version this is available on, and how they can get access to it if they already have GridBuddy. So correct me if I'm wrong, Anthony, but I think this is 6.7 and above, and it's our unlimited edition. So you can, if you're on unlimited, you can just install the latest version of GridBuddy and you'll have access to this directly in the Grid Wizard. And if you're on another version or another edition, reach out to your AE or CSM and we can help you with it.
That's right.
And then let's see, we have someone asking if you can sort by product name in Forecast View.
So product name. So let's see. The answer is probably yes. So let me go into the filter configuration here. So the ordering of your groups, actually this is not the right one. Let's look at revenue forecast. So these are product names. So if I wanted to change the sorting of these groups, so see how to my left here we see SLA Gold first and SLA Bronze, Outstanding, Integrated. The sorting of the groups is defined by what you configure in either the filter widget or the Grid Wizard. So as you can see here, we have this sort by descending configured. So this is the way that you can make that change.
Great. Okay, and then we have someone else asking, they're saying that they have multiple opportunity record types, and she's wondering if she can create grids to only show certain record types for forecasting.
Absolutely. So that would be a filter condition that you could do. So if I were to go back to my OptiGrid, and if I select this, my pipeline forecast, if you have record types configured in your org, you can click this add button, and then let's see. So here's the record type field. You would say, equals, and then, we can use this, maybe you only want to show new business, right? Or maybe you only want to show renewals. And so that's one way that you can do it. There are some other ways, if you want to tell us a little more about what your use case is, but basically this is the way you would do it.
Okay, and we also have someone asking, does GridBuddy give the ability to copy multiple opportunities from each month from a specific year to the next year without having to enter the same information again? So
yes, we do provide we do provide clone functionality. So you can let me know if this would work for you. But so let me see if I can find a grid that will show it. Just a second. My product, maybe? Let's see. No, that's not it. Let me go back to my. So this is the grid that I configured as our example for you guys. Let me just make that change. Close and refresh. Oh, actually, I want to make one other change. So I'm going to make a filter that's not forecast view, and then save. And that's still forecast view. Let me see it work. Okay, so we do provide clone functionality. So if you could see on this grid, this is again a list of opportunities. And if I click this record level actions menu, I can click clone record. And we can see it cloned all the details. And maybe if you just wanted to change your date to be the next month or the next year, it would be as simple as that. But you know, let us know your use case. Maybe we can tailor that to you.
Yep. Yeah, and I know that we've done that with other customers, and sometimes this is something that's done with JavaScript. So we also have someone asking, do you have anyone using this for custom products? Oh no, we asked that one, sorry. Next one. Someone's asking that they can tell that we're on Lightning, and they're wondering if this is available in Classic too.
Absolutely. We demo this in Lightning because Salesforce is sort of pushing everybody in that direction. But I'll be honest, when I helped build this feature, I was working in Classic. So GridBuddy works the same in Salesforce Classic and Salesforce Lightning.
And someone's asking if we have any customers using this for custom products. They're saying each of their customer items are its own, and they don't offer any stock products. So they make over 2,000 items a year on average. Anthony, I'm not sure if you can answer that.
So without getting more details about the use case, most likely yes, because if you're using custom products, that's like probably a custom object. And if there's some pick list or some date field on that, it would be simple to configure an editable forecast view grid of that object.
Great, okay. And then someone's asking if they can clone a whole year.
Clone a whole year. So that's not something that we have in out-of-box functionality, but I do believe we've built that custom for a customer. So it's that's something we could do for you. Just reach out to your account executive and let us know what you're looking to do. And again, we often do this where if we have a few requests. If they're very complex, we'll do them usually custom. And then once we see a lot of similar requests, we'll put them into core functionality so they're configurable for you guys. This is my not forecast view. So just show you for example. So if I expand that, so we see our donut chart there. And this is the not forecast view filter. If I switch back to my default filter, which has forecast view enabled, that chart is still visible there. So the answer is yes.
Great. No, I'm glad you showed that. Thank you, Anthony. And I did also just want to make it clear for the previous question about custom products. Our custom actions are really simple and reusable because we have a custom code integrator. Anthony, I don't know if you wanted to speak a little bit to that.
Sure. So usually when we do custom work for our customers, it's done through a a part of our grid wizard, which is the custom code integrator. So that's, it's, you know, for those of you who are familiar with JavaScript and CSS, you can come to this Manage Custom Code page here. And I don't know why it's not loading. And anyway, you can write your own JavaScript and your own CSS to customize your grids the way you'd like if we don't yet have the functionality you're looking for as configurable in the wizard.
Okay, yeah. And then we have Kevin asking, are charts available on grids that include child objects?
Yes, yes. So charts are available on grids that include child objects, and the dimensions that you can select for your charts can include fields from either the parent or the child.
Great. Okay, I actually think we're going to be able to wrap up a little bit early. I don't have any other questions from the audience, unless you guys want to hurry and get them in right now. Let's see here. Oh, okay, actually there is. Ooh, here we go. Okay, I got a couple more for you, Anthony. So Henry is asking, is this editable forecast view available on the current version of GridBuddy or as an add-on? So I can answer this one. Henry, we did answer this a little bit earlier. It's available on 6.7, version 6.7 of our app in the App Exchange on our Unlimited edition. So if you're on our Enterprise edition, you will have to talk to an AE or CSM about upgrading. But if you're on Unlimited, then you will be able to just install the latest version and use it right from there. Anybody else have any last minute questions they want to get in? All right. Anthony, do you have anything you want to add?
Let me just look at my notes. I think that's it.
Great. All right, let me take over the screen share. And that concludes our Q&A and our demonstration of Editable Forecast View. So again, if you'd like to check out Editable Forecast View, just download a free trial from the App Exchange, or you can schedule a personal consultation with us at info@appbuddy.com. And if for some reason we didn't get to your question during the Q&A, you can feel free to also contact us either at info@appbuddy.com or even at marketing@appbuddy.com, and I can answer those questions directly. We're also happy to hear any feedback that you want to send in. We love hearing feedback about our webinars. Also, we will be sending a recording of today's webinar to you shortly, so keep an eye out for that. And Anthony, thank you so much for your presentation today, and we hope to see you all again soon.
All right, thank you, Courtney. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.